Hello everybody. I wanted to do another repair video. This time I wanted to show you how to repair a switch Lite left stick. As you can see, mine was chewed off. It was in a pretty bad condition. I tried gluing, but it didn't work. So I ordered this on Amazon. It's basically a set with a sort of like a special screwdriver that you need to open up the switch. And of course I have my little switch replacement sticks. Came in a really cute box. I really like it. I'm gonna try and put some recommendations in there, but it's not difficult to find. Just type in switch repair kit and you'll get plenty of hits. So first of all, you use that weird screwdriver to sort of take out the screws around the switch. Now these are specific ones. I forget what it's called, but I just call it the tri because it's like a Phillips, but just 3 instead of 4. So you have 2 on the bottom and then you have 2 on the top. And what I tried doing with this video at least is, so if you're repairing your left control stick, you could follow along. I hope don't have to rewind and do that again, because I found it really frustrating when I was trying to repair this myself. I would watch a video, it'd be like 10 minutes and the person would just zoom by. So once you've sort of unscrewed that, that's all you need that for this section. There are 4 more screws on the back of the switch Lite. For this one, you'll need your standard Phillips screwdriver. I think the size should be 1 or 0 if I don't remember, but it's like the smallest size. So you'll sort of screw those out. And the thing is, the left stick is actually much easier to repair. So let me know in the comments if you want to see the right stick as well. That is a bit of a hassle because you may have to remove the entire unit, but thankfully those don't tend to get damaged because they don't get used as much, but still. And of course, it goes without saying that when you're repairing, make sure you have a nice clean table. I certainly was figuring that out as I was doing this. So you can place your screws and everything in order and you don't end up knocking stuff down or losing stuff. I just had this stuff around me, so I make a mental note. I put all the sort of like back screws to the left side. I put the ones that are special, like the outer edge ones on the bottom. So anyways, that being done, we'll cut to this. This is the hardest part. So you need like a pry tool, which was included in my kit, and you're gonna just slide it past the R because it's the easiest way to sort of like fidget open the switch. Now this was really difficult. Please be very careful, because at the R you have a little bit of giveaway, but on the side and bottom you have nothing. So you're gonna slowly like fidget and like gently go, very gentle. Try not to use the speaker grooves to do that, because there are sensitive areas there, but gently sort of like pry it open. I can't stress enough how dangerous and difficult this part is. But stick at it. And again, if you fail, go to the other side of the R stick, so the R1 button, and sort of like gently just like go through. So it took me a couple of tries, I'll be very honest. Probably took longer than it should have, but I was so worried. And yeah, just get a plastic pry tool. And try not to sort of like damage the casing. It is particularly hard at the bottom where you have the vents and you have the headphone jack. Sorry, not the bottom, the top. So beware of that. After a bit of fidgeting, I've cut to this because otherwise it'd be 10 hours. And there you have it. The switch Lite all opened up. The case is dusty. Try to see if you could, that set area as a fan, if you can remove some stuff, that's pretty cool. If you can, don't worry, don't have to bother it. Now, we'll focus on the stick repair, because this video is about that. So, you're going to look at this right-hand side, and you're going to sort of take off the R button. Again, go back to your normal Phillips head screwdriver. But once you detach it, I think there's 2 screws here. It's connected to the the top of the unit. So there's a ribbon wire that you have to be very careful of, and that ribbon wire connects to the top of the unit where you have the volume and sort of like power buttons. So be very, very cautious. It's packed really tightly. So I don't know if you could see, but the second screw sort of like is just close enough to the ribbon cable. I have this sort of tweezer tool. I think it's fantastic. Before you do anything else, remove anything else, open up these ribbon cables so you can flip these ones up, and sort of like there's like a little bit of a groove, and you can pull sort of the wire, just push it, just sort of like gently push it with those grooves. If you have tweezers like that, try not to pull violently, or once you damage those things, it's a whole different ball game. But yeah, be sure to take care of those ribbon wires. See, this is the other top ribbon wire I was talking about. So you can technically, you don't have to worry too much about that. So it's connected here, and so once I've done that, you don't have to remove it. You don't have to. I sort of just left it there, sort of nicely, because you can't really remove the second screw of the R button, sort of the R module. Sorry, I keep saying R, but a reversal, it's L. You can't really remove that without sort of like taking care of that ribbon cable. So once you've sort of bent it over, there you go. Remove that, and you see that ribbon cable just folds back in. I would recommend just kind of keep it there. I try to do very little in terms of disturbing things that are placed there. So anyways, this is the thing that gets damaged really quickly, and this is the speaker unit. So be very, very, very careful with this one. Again, you're going to use the normal screw that you have, and sort of like make sure to be very, very careful. These are special screws on my Switch. However, I've seen different ones as well. But these are, again, going back to the special Nintendo ones. So take those out very gently. Now there's a ribbon cable that sort of loops around it. I wouldn't recommend pulling that. But before you do anything, there's a power connector. Use tweezers. Or in my case, I found it sort of easier to use the pry tool and sort of like push it out. It is a little bit of a fight, but there are grooves in there. So, and don't do what I'm doing over here. The third screw at the bottom of the right hand side, that actually opens up the speaker unit, and I made a massive mistake here. So don't try to do what I did there, or the whole unit will sort of like open up. There you go. You don't want to do that. So that right hand middle screw on the speaker unit, yeah, don't do that. So I pulled that screw back in, made sure it's all fine. Now the speaker unit, as I said before, sort of loops around this massive ribbon cable. And if you're wondering what this bottom ribbon cable over here is, this is the Switch Lite screen. Damaging this cable is really dangerous. So before you do anything, make sure you flip it open, and again, gently, very gently. This sort of ribbon cable thing is a little different. You'll have to. I saw a video and the person was using a screwdriver. I don't recommend that. Either if you have tweezers, or very gently make sure you unlock that thing, and sort of like gently pull it out, very gently. Even this technique I think is kind of risky and stupid, what I'm doing here. What I think works, using your finger and a bit of friction and just like pulling on it, pressing it down and just sort of pulling it out after you've unlocked it. It's so much better. The white portion of that lock should like face up, obviously. So just so you know, just make sure you have it unlocked before you start pulling on it. Now these tabs, again, very easy to figure out. You'll see either a black or white part, and sort of like you pull it up, and then the ribbon cable can be released. Now, speaker unit is out. I obviously had trouble with the power, and as you can see, the tweezers really didn't work for me. So what I ended up doing instead, since the tweezers really were not helping and I did not want to damage that really thin wire, was using this pry tool and sort of gently fidgeting, sort of like that male input out of the female power input. You'll feel the grooves and you'll be definitely on the money if you can sort of like gently pull it out. Fidget, use your finger if you can. More control the better. And once it's out, it's sort of like these things were sort of like clipping the wire. So I'll show you right here what it looks like. And I'm sorry for the horrible zoom in. So yeah, it kind of bends in. I try not to mess with like any kind of bend or fold of the wire. So yeah, you'll see that power unit sort of plug out, pull it out, ribbon cable safe. Be careful. That's the switch itself. So now you'll see the ribbon cable over here on the other end, which is kind of hidden. I never talked about it. Well, I didn't talk about it earlier. So yeah, I left that one in because again, it's the top part. The second one down, remove that because that has the other side of the screen and the buttons. That third ribbon cable over there on the right hand side in the middle, now that's the controller one. So I would recommend, of course, flipping that over and releasing it. Now the actual circuit board has about 3 sort of screws to mess with, and we'll cut to me using the proper screwdriver and releasing that. Again, be very gentle. It's the smallest sort of screwdriver you can get. Again, the kit you'll find on Amazon is quite helpful. They'll give you just the right size. It's kind of readily available. And yeah, just be very gentle with these 3 screws. They're sort of different because they go a little deeper into the unit itself. And yeah, I tried putting them in a specific area just so I don't lose them, because the last thing you need is sort of like a loose board, because that's where the R module sits there. See that rubber stopper on the top hand side? That's basically how your R2 button communicates. And you don't want the board to be loose for that thing to move around, because otherwise it doesn't connect with a sensor on the board. So be very, very cautious and careful. And if you happen to move that rubber stopper, don't panic. You can pick it up and sort of see where it sort of makes connection with the board. So yeah, don't panic. That top right rubber stopper, yeah, this thing right here, you can always place it in nicely, because you could press it and use it. Now once you remove the board, you'll see that I didn't unplug the actual power and volume ones, because it was all connected to the board. No problem. I just want to keep it that way, because one less thing to sort of one less ribbon cable to take out is a good thing. Now onto the actual thumbstick here. So there's only 2 screws holding it on the top left and bottom right. And then once you've done that, this was the defective stick. Absolutely gross. Almost like somebody chewed it off. I'm not going to tell you what happened, but it was pretty close to somebody chewing it off. And yeah, toss that over. I got this brand new stick. And again, you can, they have Hall effects ones as well that are just as tiny and just as good. But yeah, this one worked just fine. I've repaired other Joy-Cons with it, and I see no problem with it. You're going to place that as you, place that with the ribbon cable sort of going to the right-hand side and down. And just be very gentle. You may have to sort of press it through. And then be careful when you rest it back up. It's going to pop back in. But again, it's a lesson I learned. Anyways, grab the screws that you removed for the control stick module, and then sort of slowly manage your way to putting them back in on the bottom right and the top left. Now with the screws attached, be sure not to tighten them too much, because just a nice tight thing, but like don't over tighten them because it can lead to a little bit of a problem. So anyhow, try to put the board back in nice and gently. Again, remember your control stick ribbon wire needs to come to that groove on the right hand side. You need to be careful of the other button ribbon cable on the left hand side, and most importantly, be very careful of that thickest big ribbon cable at the bottom. That is your switch light screen. So what I did here, I was kind of a little moronic, a little stupid, was sort of use the screwdriver to sort of pull out from that groove, sort of like flip open from that right hand small little groove the ribbon cable for the control stick. I saw no problems in doing that because again I had multiple replacements and I just you want that groove to sort of come in into that groove and over on the circuit board. Now, great time to sort of attach the screws for the board, which again, a little dangerous, a little painful, but again, you'll find that if you press the board down, there are grooves sort of like above the screws, sort of like a cross that's a good reference to know how far you can press the board. It's very intuitive, extremely tightly packed, but you have to sort of press down the board and the grooves will attach. It's sort of like pegs, they'll go through the holes, and then you can attach the screws to the board. Try to do the same thing again, put the speaker unit in, and then the ribbon cable. Be very careful with that. Probably that should be the most common thing I say, because that is your screen ribbon cable. Try not to bend it in any weird or wonderful positions. And again, I use my finger sort of to like push it through. There's no side grooves that you can use tweezers with. So, be very, very careful. Just try to like gently push it in, and it'll only go in maybe a couple of milliliters, and then you can flip the tab sort of down, and then you're set. Again, try to make sure you know which way the tab is flipping. I was sort of panicking, so it wasn't moving one way, and I had to sort of do it the other way. And I think this one just flips down instead of flipping, up. So now you're going to be attaching the speaker system back, and again, be very, very careful and cautious. Kind of messed up with the screws there, so again, I fixed that in nice and proper. Take that ribbon, not ribbon cable, but the power cable to the speakers. It sort of bends in a weird way. I've seen different variations of that, but try to maintain that. Don't try to bend it in a way that you see fit. Sort of just gently sort of match up that male end with the female end and just push down, and that should be fine. I don't think it goes in any way except one way, so it's very easy to figure out which way it can go. The bend in the wire sort of indicates that too. And again, looking at the actual unit, there doesn't seem to be any distinction if it sort of flips one way or the other. Use the tweezers to sort of guide it to that area, and then I just used my nails and then sort of like pushed it down. So yeah, again, another attempt for just like hold it with the tweezers and then just like, press it down, and voila, it's set. Now take the control stick ribbon cable that you see, gently, very gently, sort of create this groove. I found it really difficult using the tweezers for this one, so I would recommend using, if you have extras, sort of like folding it with the groove of with your finger or using a screwdriver, just create like this strong loop and just gently then and pushing it into the sort of ribbon lock that you have there. It shouldn't be really difficult to do, but it was a little tricky because, again, when you have a new control stick, it sort of like tends to stick one way, and you just want it to sort of like bend just a bit so it could go into that nice little latch, and yeah, you can flip it down. So it will take a little bit of patience and tries, so don't sweat it. And then once you have that sort of locked in, again, with these ones, just with your tweezers, or if you have good enough nails, you can sort of like pull the tab, push it down, and then basically lock it in place. Just had the tendency to double check to see if it was securely in. And again, you push that black dark tab down, and then yeah, it's set. It's kind of opposite, like the switch ribbon cable has the white part sort of like in a different position, so it's kind of throwing me off with the button ones. So over here on the control, sort of like the buttons modules, there's a black tab that at the front that can like flip up and down, whereas the screen one has this one that sort of sits on top. But again, it's not something so tricky. You'll figure it out. Now with the other side buttons, you just have to gently push it, and sort of like it'll slide in as long as the tab is sort of unlocked and open. The good thing about these ones on the left-hand side is they have these slight grooves that you can very gently sort of hold on to. There doesn't seem to be any sort of like circuitry going through that. And then, yeah, basically like so, I'm holding it very gently and just like pulling it into the lock, into the actual part that the ribbon cable is supposed to go in. You have to forgive me on my terminology. It's kind of panicking, and looking at this is still giving me a bit of anxiety. So yeah, once you sort of like gently just pull it down, you'll see like tabs on either end to sort of hold on to with the tweezer. And then again, just making sure it's there. And then yeah, pull that black tab down, and the ribbon cable for the right side control stick and buttons is set. And again, lock the ones for the power and volume buttons. But be sure this ribbon cable, which I didn't remove from the board, make sure it's placed up top properly. It looks like there are grooves to place that board, but if you put it really tightly into those grooves, the buttons won't hit the sensors. So it kind of floats above to make contact. And what you are supposed to do is you're supposed to put on top of the plastic shell grooves, so it sort of stabilizes it, and sort of when you press those buttons, it stops the board from going down. Yeah, and a key thing is, but before you can sort of like secure that, so you see these things like flipping back and forth, you will have to make sure to put the left stick module back on. I keep calling it the R one, but you know exactly what I mean. Gently sort of put it in, and you'll notice on the left hand side there's like a thin groove for the ribbon cable to go through. And what's crazy is within that thin groove to put the ribbon cable in, there's also a space for the screws to go in for the actual unit, the back shell of the unit. So this stuff was really anxiety inducing. Again, you just have to make sure it's nicely placed as it's intended, and you'll have enough space for this screw of the back shell to sort of like secure in. Yeah, be very cautious of this part. And I'm just setting that top part in, so basically it doesn't mess up the volume and power buttons. At this part, again, you have to sort of like put the screw in for the elastic module while gently folding that top volume and power button ribbon cable. And then once you put those secure screws in, you'll gently guide the ribbon cable to the grooves that are provided by the L button shell, that blue shell. There's grooves in there for the ribbon cable to go. And then gently secure the top part where the volume and power buttons are on the shell. Now you see that tab on the right hand side? Well, that board needs to sit sort of on top of that to make sort of contact with the volume and power buttons. It's not supposed to sit on bottom. Sort of like there's a place to sort of wedge it in. So otherwise, the volume and power buttons are not going to register. So make sure you don't see any blue on the tab, because if you notice, once you open the unit, the first thing that flipped open was the volume and power buttons. So don't try to secure it down so tightly as I did, because that was a big mistake. And I was freaking out the buttons weren't working. So yeah, try to put it on top of that bluish tab area. And like an idiot, I tried to put it upside down. And of course, yeah, make sure this time around I did not learn that lesson. So again, I couldn't record that part for you, but you have to trust me on this part. Gently put the shell back in. It's going to be a little hard over the sort of headphone jack. So I recommend sort of like making sure you place, a little bit of pressure there and start with that part, because that's one of the harder things it sort of protrudes. And so you'll have to like gently use your hands and fingers for sort of like secure it in. Now, once you have that, everything else should sort of snap in relatively easy. So I was kind of surprised at how quickly the whole unit was sort of like clip back on. Be very gentle, and yeah, quick camera cut to show you how it is, because I tend to be extremely cautious with that kind of stuff, and it takes like forever. Reattach the screws on the outer edge first. So those are the special Nintendo screws, and you need their special sort of let's call it the TriStar screwdriver. And yeah, you'll do those 2 on the bottom and 2 on the top. And then you're going to attach these sort of back screws to the actual unit. Again, be very, very careful. This shouldn't be too much of a hassle, but you sort of never know. They're on the outer edge. I was kind of worrying about the ribbon cable and stuff interacting, but it should be pretty safe. The groove initially that you had on the R button, sort of like the ribbon cable going there, it's not going to be affected with the outer shell. So again, upon reviewing the footage in a clear state of mind, it's clear that none of the ribbon cables and stuff is sort of affected by the outer shell. However, it is to be said that the way they've packed in all this tech into the Switch Lite is impressive, to say the least. It's just so tightly packed in, and just even some of the folds of the ribbon cables and how they sort of go around, it's quite impressive. And so, one of the final things once you've done this part and sort of secured the back screws on the Switch is you'll go into system settings, and there'll be an option for controls and buttons, and basically you're going to try to calibrate that new control stick that you've put in. It is necessary because it's still using the settings and sort of calibrations from the original one. So again, it's not that difficult, controls and settings, and then you'll find it. Go through that stuff, follow along. I already calibrated that and realized later that I was not recording. So once it's done, it's a very easy, simple process, and your new control stick should work fine. I didn't do a white one because I just wanted the effect of the new stick put in place to be obvious. Let us know if there's anything else you want to see. I hope you followed along peacefully, and this was an easy tutorial. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys soon.